Hey, hey.
Man.
Oh,
Oh,
can't hear you.
yeah, it looks like.
Oh,
Ah,
there you are. You're
what's it,
back.
dude? Hello. Thank goodness. Sorry, people. Gamer Dan, how are you, my man?
Good, good. It's still cold. It's the end of
Ah,
February, and I thought it'd be warmer by
yeah,
now, but it's the
yeah.
end of
Wind is
winter.
taking his
Soon
bring
it'll be
his feet.
spring. Should be.
Yeah.
Otherwise,
Like,
yeah, pretty good, pretty good. We've got an interesting one for you. We've got it's fairly topical. This has just dropped. Today we're going to be talking about Microsoft's new AI, the Muse or
mm,
Muse. It's like Share, just a single name.
yes.
And we have thoughts. What do you think?
Maybe do. Me, well, A- AI.
No
We've been.
spoilers. It's just general. And we'll get into
Oh,
it.
sorry, people. I looked into it myself, but thoughts about Well, first of all, let's see. We normally do Nintendo stuff and whatnot. Is it been? We should mention the that word I just said again, right? As we wait till it plays out. In that case, I'll talk about stuff around it. Microsoft. I mean, right now the talk of the town is the Switch 2, and I'm sure that Sony and Microsoft are just waiting in the wings, trying to think of any blind spots they can take advantage of before they launch the successor in the generation. Uh, Entry. I won't call it the console war like you say anymore, because what's that? What does that term mean these days? Um, so yeah, here we are, and yeah, I'm gonna. It'd be like there's a YouTuber called Obi-Wan Plays I've mentioned before. He used to say, "Keep watching us for all things Nintendo," but I guess, and then he switched up to saying, "Keep on to keep up with all things gaming," and I think maybe that's where we're going. Because today we're gonna take a walk on the western side and check out what's going on with Microsoft. Eh? So, but I just want to see if Nintendo are going to learn from this announcement and integrate it into the Switch 2, which from what I slipped out already, I've always been talking about. So that's me so far.
That's right. Long-time viewers of our channel, thank you very much. We appreciate it. Will know
Indeed.
that we have long talked about long been talking about AI and AI's implications, specifically on my side, on the video gaming landscape, on MatMadik's side, more on music, but generally on society as a whole, because I don't think we should be doomsayers, but you want to see it coming,
Mm,
guardrails are not a bad idea, but people taking different opinions upon it. And this is a big step forward. It's been called the next big step for Microsoft because this is, you know what? Let's look at what a this Muse is before we start tearing it apart. I mean, talking about it.
but yeah, digging into it. Yeah.
Yeah, right. We're gonna share the first couple of minutes of a channel AI Revolution. Thank you, AI Revolution. Their
Thank you
video
very
on
much.
Nintendo's new AI Muse, just to get a handle. Now, their channel is very pro AI, as far as I'm aware. So it will be interesting. But more than anything, let's get the lay of the land.
Mhm.
Muse, what is it?
Virtual
There
worlds
you
are
go.
about to get a whole new kind of intelligence, one that doesn't just follow scripts but truly understands how things move and interact. Microsoft's Muse AI is learning digital environments, generating entire sequences, and even helping bring old classics back to life. Okay, so Muse is described as a world and human action model, shortened to WHAM, because it doesn't just generate.
Wham.
Pick me up before you
Before
go,
you
go.
go, go.
First thing
Yes, I'm
comes to my
thinking.
mind, seriously.
Yeah,
Hey, he went, oh, is this a
last
wham?
Christmas. Yeah.
Yeah.
Once
Oh,
bitten, twice
okay.
shy, I tell you.
Yeah, one's been twice shy. Yeah, well, we have been bitten by AI before, so let's
Yeah.
not be so shy. Right. What is it?
Yeah.
What does wham do?
Game
Hmm.
visuals, it also generates actions, or both at
Mm.
the same time. It's basically an AI system that's been trained to understand three-dimensional game environments and game physics. That means it can look at a game, recognize how things work in that world, and generate new gameplay that fits right in with what a real person might do. This is not just some theoretical idea
Hmm.
either. Muse has been shown off in action. generating visuals of a game at about 300 by 180 pixels resolution. Admittedly, that's pretty small compared to the 1080p or 4K we all love in modern gaming, but hey, it's a huge step up from the 128 by 128 resolution Microsoft's earlier prototypes produced. Now, how did we get here?
Do not like that guy's avatar. Ugh, very ugly.
What is this? His avatar right here?
Yeah,
the generation reportedly dates back to late 2022.
Yeah, it feels very early AI because the mouth is moving in sync with the music, but the body has no rhythm. It's like it's not breathing. There's no natural cadence to it. It's
at the same time, as gross as it is, I appreciate the fact that I know that he's not trying to, a bit like with the what do you call it, the uncanny valley. The fact that I can, when I know that you're not giving me the real thing, I can respect that a bit more. As opposed to AI that's trying to look like I'm the real thing. Oh, you try to make me think you're a human, but I can see these little, like, you're lying to me. I'm not doing that. I can just see that this is clearly just a
fun side note. The uncanny valley effect is well known as it pertains to how things look closer to humans. And if you have an entirely cartoony or wildly aesthetic or entity, we like it. As it looks more human, we start to like it more and more until it gets just before photorealism. Just before photorealism, it's too real, but not real enough, and that is called the uncanny valley. So this, I'm perfectly fine with. Looks great, it's clearly doing this. It doesn't move like a human. Looks like a robot. I personally don't like the style. But as a note to this, this is also a problem with furries and cartoon anthropomorphic animals, because if you have Chip and Dale, no problem. It's an animal. It walks and talks like a person, but it's an animal. We absolutely can see that. But it's when the animal becomes just human enough.
I see what you're saying.
Don't like it. It's too anthropomorphic. It hits the uncanny valley, which you would think, oh, why? It's an animal. No. It's when you get animals acting really human. People don't like that. Sorry.
I agree.
Right after ChatGPT blew everyone's mind with text-based generative AI, Katja Hoffman, a senior principal research manager at Microsoft Research in Cambridge, UK, started wondering how these same transformer-based models, like the ones behind ChatGPT, might work for video games. Her team, called Microsoft Research Game Intelligence, had already gathered a ton of gameplay data, with player consent, from the Ninja Theory title Bleeding Edge. If you're not familiar, Bleeding Edge is a 4 versus 4 Xbox game that came out in 2020. All of its matches are played online, and with consent from the players, Microsoft captured the visual data and the controller actions from these matches. Get this, they ended up accumulating over 1 billion images and controller actions, which is equivalent to more than 7 years of human gameplay. That's a massive data set. So naturally, Hoffman and team thought, what if we feed all of that into a transformer-based model? Could we basically teach an AI?
Yeah, just why don't we take the cyborg with the guns and teach it game theory and give it political aspirations? Why not?
To understand and then generate brand new gameplay sequences? Turns out, they could, and that's exactly what Muse is. They trained the model using powerful compute clusters that included V100 GPUs at first, and then upgraded to H100s. The scaling process wasn't easy, but eventually the team got their pipeline stable and was able to handle large training runs. Once they had a working prototype, they tweaked it for higher resolution image encoders, like going from 128 by 128 pixels to 300 by 180 pixels. Tested it on different in-game maps, and found that Muse could do all sorts of interesting stuff. It can, for example, be prompted with real gameplay footage for a few seconds, plus the controller inputs, and then it continues generating the next several minutes of gameplay, often matching what the actual real gameplay looked like. Or it can just take the button inputs and imagine how the game would respond. The better it matches real game physics, the more it shows it understands how Bleeding Edge works. What's really exciting is that, along the way, the team discovered 3 big capabilities that are key for creative game development: consistency, diversity, and persistence.
These are the big primary things. And this is why I think that Muse can't be ignored. We can't just write it off. We can't just ignore it as some kind of, all tech companies want more
Yeah.
tech. Throw it away.
Oh,
No, no, no.
no way.
There is enough here with these three pillars to think that Muse AI
Mm.
could be the next step that they are claiming. It could be a massive boost to game development. But that's a double-edged
Mm.
sword, a hammer is a great tool if you want
Mm.
to put up a house, but it's also pretty good for bashing in skulls, including jobs. So,
Yeah.
no, let's quickly touch on these three pillars, and then we're going to talk about how they can go wrong, how they can go right, what's really going on here.
Consistency is about how
Mm.
accurately the generated gameplay follows the rules of the game world. Like, does your character walk through walls, or do they obey typical physics? Does the AI interpret button presses like a normal player would? Diversity is about making sure the model can produce all kinds of different scenarios, so we don't end up with a single repeating pattern. And persistency means if you modify the game world mid-sequence, like, say, copy and paste a new character into the screen, the AI can keep that new character around realistically in subsequent frames.
So,
Mm.
back.
Okay.
And
Yeah. So consistency is the game engine works the way it's supposed to. The AI enters the game engine or uses the game engine, and it functions the way the game engine is supposed to be to design, which is
Right.
what QR testers do.
Yeah.
Essentially, it's just grinding out the game over and over and over, doing everything it could be done, and making sure that it works the way it's supposed to work. Diversity is the ability to introduce different art styles and different characters quickly into the game engine. That's pretty good. We also have art directors for that. People come up with designs and characters and then put them in to see what works. And finally, persistency is just making sure that the code works. If you make a change in the game, will the game engine recognize it, and will the AI be able to use that asset? Again, that's just developers. That's just making sure the code works. All of these things
Mm.
are essential to creating a well-rounded game, making sure that the game engine, the game world works the way as intended. But all of them could, not might, not will,
Mm.
just could be someone's job. And therein
Mm.
lies the rub.
Now, here's the
What do
thing.
you think?
I have to say, all right, I'm being completely honest here and super real. People don't always want to do ridiculously mind-numbing work. Now, like I said, you could do whether you're dealing with the restaurant business or the game development business. Um, there are McDonald's in Texas right now that run completely by robots and just a few managers making sure it's all good.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas a lot of us are out there going to McDonald's run by people. And some of these people, of course, a lot of people benefit, like I did when I worked at McDonald's, from the checks and so on. And there are some things that, honestly, no matter what, that because you're dealing with the real world here, a robot's not going to pick up. If a fly flies on the burger from God knows where, and the robot's just going on making the hamburger for you, he hasn't noticed none the wiser, and there's no detection system. I mean, I doubt they would invest in that such a thing, but then you're
Just
just gonna
a
get.
bug zapper in the corner. Assume it
Yeah,
works.
exactly. And otherwise, you're just going to get a bug in your burger. A human could spot that. And the robot be like, what's the problem? It's meat, right? It's dead meat. You know,
Mm.
so here we are. And as far as defending people's jobs are concerned, I remember another thing you mentioned, like bank tellers becoming replaced by ATM machines.
Yeah, I
And
say before we do these videos, a little behind the scenes, we have a little bit of a chat, collate our thoughts, and then
yeah,
we
it's
do
just
this.
what exactly. It helps to so I can get to the point quicker actually, because I ramble.
Yeah.
But yeah, so ultimately what happens is just like has been told to me before by others. Yeah, it's just gonna be a case where jobs will be transformed. I don't think. I mean, I used to be. I've been around the block and I've done game testing for DS Nintendo company. I think it's called Exient. Oh my gosh, they'll blur. And I did game testing for Microsoft, a company. I forgot the name of that too. Anyway, but Xbox and Nintendo. Xbox was better, a lot more organized. But in any
Mm.
case, it's still when you got a mind-numbing game to play out, grind out again and again. It does your head in, and you're like, oh,
Mm.
enough of this. Like, I gotta get out of it. I'm gonna punch the screen through. But now that will help because, like I always say, there's nothing wrong with ChatGPT if you can do the work yourself. What you don't want is to, just like I said, just leave. turn the robots on, tell it to make you a burger, and if something lands but the robot doesn't see it, it's just trust that it's perfect. You need to be able to ch verify it, render these things as effective with the human touch. You need to assess it on that level. I think this system can help, and it will have to transform what the jobs can be, so we can be creative developers. There's so many people in doing game testing right now, not because they bloody want to, but for the money, or they want to climb the corporate ladder and become a game designer one day. Like that was my dream. And
Mm.
with AI, it gives you a chance, just the way autotune. When I also think I did this. When I was a kid, I think I went onto the expected auditions and I was like, yeah, I can do it. I didn't make it, but as you know, as you probably can tell. But here we are. And when autotune came out with people like T-Pain and all these artists,
Mm.
I was all for it. My bro was against it because he was a purist, but I was thinking, there's so many people out there who get so despondent or discouraged by people like Simon Cowell saying you can't sing and all that stuff. And I thought, hey, wait, this technology evens the playing field, even if it's not your I mean, because I've developed this thing over time, and I can do things before that I couldn't. And if I went on the audition again, may get through. But but at the end of the day,
It's open.
yeah, and the technology technology helps. That's the thing. So whether it's autotune helping singers, ChatGPT helping you do your reports, or Muse here helping us get rid of the boring stuff, we let this AI, as you said in the previous video, do the dishes while we get on with our art, rather than trying to let it do the art while we stick with the dishes. Nobody wants to do that boring stuff, but at the same time, it is also necessary to build the muscle. And God knows I need to build some. And so, so here we are today. And here we are, and what we're thinking is, how do we use this ethically, right? It's for people's income, but also for people's creativity and the IPs to be preserved. I think it comes down to that magic word consent that I heard earlier. If people consent to the product, and I don't just let and respect it as its own thing, such as again T-Pain, again referring to that musician singing with or without autotune, liking do different versions of his songs,
Mm.
I think you've got a place for it. But in this case, Muse is one of those bits of AI that's trying to get in the weeds, mixing with everything, so to the point where it'll be a part of what you do. You want to get your money out from the bank, you need a cash card, you need to go to the ATM. If you want to walk all the way to the bank, be my guest. But you just go to the convenience store and just take your money out that way. It's gonna be everywhere. You just got to retain control of the IP as much as you can with your hands. What will end up happening is, if everybody has this, the more indie gamers will rise. They'll say, hey, I can test my game myself. And Nintendo, they're going to be sitting there thinking, okay, what can we offer the market that these indie gamers can't? Well, we have long running IPs. So, hey, you can make your game. And speaking of Nintendo and their licenses, they're very litigious. They like to sue people
Mm.
trying to do these things. Yeah. I mean, Kickstarter is got full of bone, the bones of people who tried to make their fan made projects. Nintendo says, no. And that's
Yeah.
it. And so whether it's AI assisted or not, when you're making your own thing, you're still starting at the beginning. It's just because you're dealing with companies and brands that have their breadth and they have their lay of the land and a monopoly. You can make a very popular game here, but if Nintendo or whatnot say, you're not crossing this territory, I own this territory, these fans are loyal to me. I don't care how good your AI is. We have 10 times as many employees, and they all have access to this damn AI machine, and we have IP that is long running. What are you going to do about it? And so it's going to be a case of a lot of shining stuff going on, but it's going to wind up being same old. In that we're still going to have indie developers feeling that they're up against the system.
Too
I
true.
think
Too
people
true.
feel outmanned.
It's always going to be. I think indie personally, in the indie market is something like a proving ground. It's a wild west. Anyone can do anything within reason. Obviously, you can't use IP, but lots of great games have come out of the indie space because they came up with a novel way. They came up with a new gameplay mechanic, or they found a new hook. They tested something out and it worked. But there are just countless games that tried and failed because that's just how it works. It's a free market and people are allowed to work their way up. But I
Mhm.
absolutely agree with the idea that big companies have the IPs. They have the need to be wary of consent because
Mhm.
you need to keep an eye on not the tech but the consent, what people are doing with that tech, what are they
Yeah.
implementing it for. Now, a lot of the writing, a lot of people discussing this new Muse AI. are talking about different ways it can be implemented. There's a number of articles being brought out. One, and they touched on a few different things. One would be a faster iteration, able to make games faster. As you say, if this will allow the indie developers to test their game out. One of the things they mentioned was the ability to map new abilities or attacks or elements to new verbs into the game, and then test it. Use the AI to go like, oh, okay, we want to try a water blast in this level. Just the AI will be able to implement that in a very fundamental way. Not great, but enough to get a feel. Okay, does it work? No, it doesn't work. Okay, try fire and then try lightning. Okay, just mix and match the abilities in early prototyping builds. When they build the game, instead of having to go to a polished degree, they could just test a bunch of different things out, see what works. And I like that idea because, as you say before, it's a person using a tool, not the tool developing it on its independently. And so I like the idea that people will be able to iterate quicker. But is iteration the goal? Do we want more and more games? I think at this point we've hit a point of saturation. There are so very many games being released by a bunch of indies, by big companies. We've reached critical saturation, the bubble burst with online shooters, with these pay-as-you-play online games, because they demand so much of your attention, but you can't play 15 of them. Everyone just picks their smack of choice and sticks with that.
Exactly. This is a good point.
So
The power of the IP.
yeah, but so just putting out more and more games. How is that effective? Take your time. As we were talking about earlier, I am a firm believer in the let it cook school of thought. If a game's going to take longer, but it will be more polished, I would prefer that rather than them release a shoddy game.
Yeah.
I'm a firm Batman fan, huge Batman fan, and Batman Arkham series is one of my top three. Easily one of my top three favorite games series, long-running series. And the first one, Arkham Asylum. People might not remember, but there was a short delay to kind of shore up a few bits and bobs that the company that Rockstar needed. And people were foaming at the mouth, raging about it. But you know what? Let them cook. I would rather them release a properly finished game. Take the time to get it right, because the game's coming out. You've announced it. It's too far. And then the same thing with Nintendo and Metroid Prime 4. They just they ripped that down, tore it down right to bare bones, bare basics. You know what? Looking at what little we've seen, looks good. Maybe they took the time to make the game they wanted to make it polished enough. And Nintendo are very, very good at making their title, their tentpole, their kind of big IPs look good.
Yes.
It's just a case of making sure that we're getting quality over quantity at this point.
Yeah.
We're getting too much. Another thing but with prototyping, we can help those developers. I like the idea that we're able to prototype quickly, which means that a lot of time that's wasted in the early game to see what works. Because maybe you have a great idea, maybe you have a fun gameplay hook, and you put it into practice and it just doesn't work. It just fundamentally doesn't function. I mentioned earlier about the uncanny valley. You might have a great character design, you put it into practice, and then it's just it hits that uncanny valley. It's not no fault of your own. It was just that combination of stuff isn't fun, isn't appealing.
This is it.
Yeah, do the prototyping early and have something like this Muse that will help you do that quickly and more variedly. You can save money, you can save time, you can spend that time working on polishing the game rather than creating the damn thing. But
truly,
this is the last point I really want to talk about, and this is the thorn in my paw. This is the thing that's really grinding my gears. I have always had a bugbear, always had a passion project of preserving old games. Classic games, NES, SNES, N64, those generations. We need to keep those games. Even going back to the Commodores, we need to keep these games safe and teach younger generations. These are the tropes that we use. Here are the games where you see the tropes developing. We do games this way because they worked. It seems absurd now, but everyone uses a twin stick when they're doing first-person shooter. That's just the way it's done now. But there was a time
Right.
before that, There were times when in the Wild West where you could use any kind of crazy button combination. I still remember the reviews for Alien Trilogy, which was the first
Mm.
game on the PlayStation, ESX, the first that used the twin stick, and it got railroaded by critics. They were like, "Oh, this is an ugly control system. It will never last." It's the norm now. This is
Isn't
the
that
way we
funny?
do it now.
Yeah.
But it's
And this is
important to
this
go
is
back and try those, learn about those early games. See if you want to be a part, especially in game development, you got to
yeah,
know how the games came about, how the way we play came about. So game
dude. This
preservation
is
is a priority.
you just said
And
it. Oh my God. Sorry, please go on. Sorry.
but currently, the only people preserving games are the ROM hackers, are the pirates. They're the only ones who are keeping the length and breadth of libraries alive, keeping this
Mm,
data. You know, big companies are not preserving these games; they're locking them in a vault. Now, I don't consider that preservation because preservation
yeah.
allows access. It's like the
Exactly.
difference between
Exactly.
it's the difference between a vault and a museum. Put them in a museum.
Yes. That's
Let us
a
learn
re
from it.
hmm
If that's preserving it, we still have access. We can still gain from these old games. Looking them away and going, can't ever use them. No. And I'm willing
No.
to pay,
So
I'm willing to pay for access
yeah.
to old games because occasionally I want to
Oh.
go back and I want to play those old games. I want to reflect.
Mm,
But no, Muse AI has been highlighted by numerous standards within the Microsoft and Rail. This idea has been challenged by a number of YouTubers who are arguing that they're saying that game preservation will be improved because the Muse AI will be able to keep these games, update these games for modern platforms. Hell, their quote is they will be able to. The algorithm could be used to make older games compatible with any device.
hmm.
I Oh, that is a tantalizing
Hmm.
carrot. The idea that a bunch of old games will be able to be brought forward, just basically upscale, not even upscaled, but just getting the button combinations, making them work on modern
Hmm.
consoles. Like a bunch of old games will be able to be replayable again.
That sounds
That's,
very
it sounds
attractive.
nice. It does sound nice,
Yeah.
but it's just not feasible. It's
That's
just not
it.
realistic. It's a great
Imagine.
idea, but
Yeah.
I just don't see it happening. And it's not just
Yeah.
me saying that.
Oh,
I'll cut over to you for a second, but I'm going to share a
okay.
screen.
Oh yeah, yeah, please.
This is a quote by Dr. Michael Cook, who's an
Uh,
AI researcher and game designer. He
okay.
says bluntly, Spencer's comment is idiotic. He says,
Mm,
I mean, in a sense, anything is a preservation tool. I could ask my friend's 5-year-old son to draw a crayon picture of what he thinks the ending output scene of Final Fantasy VIII looks like, and that would still count as game preservation in a certain sense.
mm, right.
Despite a decade of AI growth, Cook says there is no method yet to measure what exactly an AI model has captured and what it has not. That's the whole black box problem people have been having with
Mm,
AI. We know that it functions, we just don't know how it functions.
yeah,
Unreliable.
exactly.
Muse is able to provide grainy gifs of a fairly simple video game based on 7 years of footage. But it's not a solution for holding everything about a game or every possible outcome of what players do. That's the QR thing, that's the grinding of the game. There's no way
Yes.
this AI currently will be able to come up with the crazy combinations that gamers will. Gamers break
Mm,
games all the freaking time. This
hmm.
is absolutely not a solution for game preservation, he concludes, citing a report by gaming archaeologist Florence Smith Nichols about the archiving of digital games.
Mm,
What does it mean to preserve a gameplay experience? Even if this model was a perfect replication of the original executable software, This is not the be all and end all of game preservation. A generative
Amen.
model of what game footage may have looked like once might be a nice curioso,
Mm.
but on the side of real preservation process, it is always going to be inferior to the other ways we approach the problem. It's not
Yes.
going to function the way I want it to function. Now, maybe that's me just being biased. I want it to work.
Mm.
But they're not talking about preserving games by bringing them to modern consoles. They're talking about using this AI to create a facsimile of the game. This is what
Yeah,
it
yeah.
does. No, it takes in a
I,
bunch of data and it comes up with its own interpretation.
I, I should give my 2 cents because I guess time's
Please.
running low. This brought my mind to two political two political headlines that I just wanted to tie into this topic because when you said it, it just inspired me. Two things that Americans are doing right now. One, which is to clear off the amazing things, to clear off the U.S. debt to the fiat currency. And it's like, wow, how do you do that? And I was thinking, oh, of course. I know it sounds stupid to saying this, but if you buy if you buy stock in something while it's like, let's say crypto, for example, when it's super dirt cheap and wait until it starts to shoot up in value like it's doing now, and it just may shoot up a bit more later on. You use that, you sell all that crypto or give that to the Fed and get off the fiat currency, and then the debt is cleared. It's like, wow. Now it's similar thing as what's going on here in that um sorry, and the other headline I want to tie into quickly, which is the idea of the whole what's been going on in the world right now is Fort Knox empty? Um,
Oh,
the,
this is
yeah,
still
but that being said, if you think about it, if it was empty or it wasn't empty, it could still play to the US benefit. If it was empty, of course, the price of gold will skyrocket and go through the roof because it's so rare. All of a sudden, and if certain people have gold that they can, of course, use to well, first of all, it'll devalue the fiat currency and help people to want to get away from that. And of course, we can take our attention to other assets. But if it was full, we could say, hey, why don't we just go back to the gold standard in the end, just get rid of the step system. That is to say, it's a kind of a if you it kind of a house always wins scenario if you advise on that properly. And of course, I know it's a hot topic and it's all sensationalized, but at the same time, I'm thinking of it kind of mirrors what you're dealing with this AI system in that whether it's physical gold or crypto, what have you, you got to have both. You got when it comes to true preservation. If you want to, it's like the actual game experience is not in the ones and zeros, digitally speaking, alone. It's in the actual physical experience of the game controller, how you use it, how it feels. Every game controller, just like my phone right here, with all the cracks on it. It's personalized to me. This is my phone. It's my thumbprint on it now. This, it's mine because I smashed it in a special way. So all that stuff that
I have abandoned a few games because the game feel
mm,
didn't sit right with me. I was like, yeah, this looks good, but I'm just not enjoying the experience. You're quite
and
right.
that's it. And with that, you can't replicate that with that experience exactly, even whether the good or bad experiences with AI alone. And
Mm,
that's where I agree with this man's article. This man's argument, in that well, the possible outcomes are not just really constrained to what the game is programmed to give you as an output. The experience of the game is the doing the game. It's a bit like AI jokes. They may be able to push out some puns and whatnot, but your real jokes are based on experiences
mhm.
and what makes you laugh will not make the machine laugh. In fact, it can't laugh. So
Shared experience.
yeah, and then when it comes to the digital stuff, if you, I mean, ultimately, like I said before, when it comes to the IP, the companies that owns the IP that are rooted in the customers' hearts and whatnot have all the money behind it, i.e. Nintendo and so on, even some big IPs from like Bungie and so on, and other notable companies, they will still have the lion's share of what's of the market by virtue of being able to find many people to help out. But it's just that, like you said before, the saturation. You can't turn around and say because we all have AI now, it's like giving everybody a machine gun. Let's all fire it at once, and it's like, oh no, we're out of ammo and we're dead. So, so it will. You can't do it. It's quality over quantity, like you say, and all of this has to be balanced. It's all about balance. If you don't test the game with your bloody fingers, what have you, it's you're gonna wind up with a McDonald's burger made by a robot that has a dead fly in the middle that the robot missed. some point. And it's
It's
you know
true.
it's yeah a bun with dead meat in the middle. Yeah, that's the machine sees it, no problem, no harm, no foul, and it just won't work. So after all, I think when the headlines like this happen, it's usually to push the market in one way or the other. And of course, at the end of the day, if everything does become more AI um operated or fed into the AI machine like this woman did here, then hey, at least you'll have a more solid database going forward. But it can't go forward unless people consent to contribute to this, a bit like accepting
Mm.
cookies on your machine and what have you. And but it's
I love that
still
point. I love that.
mm,
This media blitz that have come out, that's talking about the Muse, really promoting it, and people have railed against it. But even us, we're talking about it. We're just
mm,
adding into the discussion. And yeah, all this could very well be just them pushing for, get not consent, but at least normalizing the idea. It's like when they introduced microtransactions. No one liked them. They were only in a few games on the
mm,
phone, and then they came on to the mainstream games, and now they're normalized. But yeah, they had to push the limit in order to see where the line was. But yes, it, these companies would want to use this tech, no questions asked, but they're going to need consent. They're going to need people to accept it. Some companies have tried to do things, and people have pushed back, and they're going, okay, well, we can't do that. We won't do
mm.
this, which is good. It shows they're aligned, and we have a right as consumers. We can choose with our purchasing power, but it's about the consent. Do they we want to
Yeah,
use it? How far they're going to use it? How much are we going to let them use this? Quite right.
yeah.
I
Oh
think
yeah. And,
this is
please.
this is something they're looking at, but maybe the fact of looking at it could be pushing us one way or another. Could be trying
I
to
think
influence
so.
us. Yeah.
We have to stand
Right.
for something or for
We
anything.
have to
Yeah.
stand. Yeah, stand for something or fall for anything.
Or for anything. Yeah.
Right. With that, we're going to come. We're going to tie this little thing with the bow of the thing. My game review of the week, for those of you who are interested, Ender's Magnolia, sequel to Ender's Lily. IGN quoted as saying, the best Metroidvania you've never heard of. Well, now you have. Seriously, very good, atmospheric, dystopian, and beautifully told. Uh,
Fantastic.
Anything you want to add?
Yeah. Oh wait, sorry. Did you say that you did a video playthrough of this game?
No, no, no. Just a quick heads up. This is a good review. I'm
Oh, okay, fair
playing
enough.
it now and enjoying it.
Yeah, I want to say yeah, thanks very much, Gamer Dan. I've been actually personally been getting into your gaming review videos, watching them like and studying like things about games I didn't notice, and just watching that video and looking at this AI Muse thing right now, just looking at the differences of how gameplay actually occurs, especially even when you do it performatively, like we do here.
Mm.
So not potentially, but just for a camera, you know. And yeah, I gotta say it's very insightful. Thank you very much for your contributions. I'd love to see
All right.
another. If you're going to do another gameplay, let us know. And
Yeah, well, as soon as there's a new Steam Next Fest, every Next Fest, Steam, the company puts forth a bunch of demos. Most of them are already on there, but they kind of promote them. And every Next Fest, I download a whole bunch from a selection, and I will do a selection of demo videos,
thank you,
guaranteed.
Game.
Because
This looking
I'm going to be
forward
playing
to
them
it.
anyway, so I might as well record the stuff doing it.
Yeah. Oh, and the next video with the switch to Connect, not Direct. Is it April? Is coming out, right?
Yes, April, start of April, I think April 4th. No,
Ah,
April 2nd. It's going to be coming out. But
after
soon,
Fool's Day.
within a week, will be the Pokemon Direct, the yearly Pokemon Direct. So we might
Yeah.
talk about that next week.
I'll try and get Professor Suzuka to join us again.
That would be
Now she's
nice.
very busy. Yeah, she's the Pokemon
Less
aficionado
than
from
36
Japan.
seconds. Right.
Yeah. All right.
With that, like, share, and subscribe. See you next week.
Peace,
Peace.
people. Thank you so much.
Peace.